Okay, so we're going to see how this goes. It's the first time I've ever tried a video like this before. Whether the video works, whether the project works, whether the whole thing's even remotely interesting remains to be seen. This is my original ZX Spectrum 128K toast rack model, known as the toast rack because the heatsink here on the side used to get very hot because it's attached to the voltage regulator. So this was my pride and joy whenever I was around 12 or 13 or so. I had a rubber key 48K before that. I upgraded to this until it died sometime in the late 80s. And unfortunately the lack of decent repair shops here in Northern Ireland meant that it never really got repaired. Got scavenged for bits later on in later years. Whenever this died, I moved sideways to a Commodore 64 and then on to the Amiga not long after. So this has languished in a box in the roof space for quite some time. And it occurred to me recently, I do have, as part of my collection, a pristine 128K sitting upstairs on display, along with a lot of my other machines, but I thought it might be nice to try and sort of resurrect this. Now, I don't have the skills, actually, to properly repair, and I think possibly part of the problem with this is broken tracks. Basically I don't have the skills really to repair it. You'll see that there's a couple of bits that have been scavenged over the years. But I decided what I would do, because I'm off work for a week, because I'm going in a couple of days to get a stent fitted, because I have a slight cardiac blockage in one of my cardiac arteries. So it means that I'm at a loose end for a week. And I thought, I'll give myself a project to resurrect this. So first of all, new membrane, because the membrane that's in here, well, for one of the connectors has snapped off, but also these get very brittle over the years, and this is stamped 1986. So yeah, 12th of this, 02/06, 1986. So yeah, so it's quite a few years old, and so I have a nice new membrane for that, so that's going to go in there. That arguably will be the easy part. And then I discovered online, sort of googling around as I do, from ByteDelight in the Netherlands, they have the Harlequin 128 board, which is essentially this. I like the use of wafers for packing. It's a lovely, very lovely kit. Everything comes very nicely presented in little bags, so there's no rummaging around for the right thing. All the components are packed in a bag like so. Here's the package with all of the chips, bar one, which I'll explain in a moment, and the circuit board. So the idea is that, now, this isn't a perfect fit for the 128K, it's actually a perfect fit for a ZX Spectrum Plus case, which again I'll explain in a moment, but this new board will fit inside my existing case. I'll have to make a couple of little modifications, because this has, for example, the tape loading ear and microphone sockets on the back, which it would have been in the case on the ZX Spectrum Plus case, but this being a Plus 128, the sockets here on the side. So I will have to make a little modification to the case at the back here to get it all to fit in. So essentially what happens with this is that this board recreates the ZX Spectrum 128K. What it's missing, what was unique about these original boards, well, sorry, Sinclair / Amstrad's original boards, is that for anybody who's not familiar with this sort of thing, they used a thing called a ULA, an uncommitted logic array, which really combined lots of chips into one. So the ZX Spectrum used one of those. So you'll notice on this board here, despite its smaller size, that there are a lot more spaces for a lot more chips than there are in the original board. The reason for that is that rather than trying to build this board around a ULA that's no longer available, some enterprising soul, I'm afraid I don't have his name to hand, worked out how to really sort of create a clone without using the original ULA and busting it out into all of the individual chips, which are all easily available here. The only one piece of the puzzle that's missing is the ROM. Now the ROM is the original software that runs the Spectrum, that sort of boots up whenever you switch the machine on. And these are obtainable, well, sort of There are various compatible versions and what have you, but if you're lucky, you can find an original one online. But of course I'm lucky because my original one is still in here. So I like the thought, assuming it's still working, I like the thought of being able to take out the original one from this machine here and put it in, and then essentially, yeah, I will end up with a functioning 128K in a case, and it's sort of my original one in a way, with a bit of a stretch of the imagination. So that's going to be my little project for the next few days. Instructions say about 3 hours, which, knowing my soldering, will probably mean it's a lot longer. But yeah, so I'm going to sort of video the process, obviously not at real time because that would be very boring. I'll speed it up a bit, but yeah, so if it seems interesting, you might want to watch on. So we're very nearly complete now. Just got to put the chips all in. I've got things like the little headers on here, dip switches, different selection, things for different ROMs and so on. The keyboard connectors for the standard Sinclair keyboard membrane. The jack for composite video. There's no RF on this model, obviously. Tape loading and saving points, DC jack. This is the edge connector. I haven't put the RGB socket on yet, the mini RGB socket. I will do that once I sort of see everything's working, because I'll have to cut a hole in the case. Or actually, I maybe need to cut a hole in the case before in order to get that in. Oh, we'll see. But I think now the next thing is, oh, voltage regulator. And then it's a matter of putting the chips in. Okay. So then this can't see it on the board, but according to the socket then, yeah, that's going to be the ROM. So in comes the old board. No, I don't have a chip extractor. So I'll gently prise the old ROM off the old board. I hope this works. If the machine doesn't work when I first power it on, I will try a different ROM that I have from a Grey +2 in case the ROM's faulty. Although I know it's more likely that it be my soldering that's faulty, but anyway. That is the brain transplant. Oh yeah, I need to check actually. Yeah, it did say that this socket here is larger than the ROM, so even though it looks like it doesn't fit, it's okay. At least it should be, let's hope so. So now, time to work out the rest of all of these. I know a lot of these are all the same. They're all very, very similar. So I'm just going to race through them. Okay, so ignore the Commodore 64 there for the moment. No keyboard or anything connected at the moment, but composite video connected to the television. Original ZX Spectrum +2 power supply. I have reason to believe this plug is possibly slightly faulty, so the power might flick on and off here, I don't know. This is the original positive center one, which is required for this particular kit. Newer things like the ZX Spectrum Next, which I have a board for that in my old 48K casing, that uses the negative center, so it's make sure I've got the right power supply. This is genuinely the first time I plugged this in, so I have no idea how this is going to go. Hopefully, at the very least, no magic smoke would be a positive. I have a history of these things never working, at least not first time. So let's give this a go. Well, something on screen. Now, having said that, oh yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I definitely have a wonky plug there. Okay, so it's actually a couple of days later now, or I think about 3 days later. I had bought this kit to build while I was recuperating from my stent procedure, but I had a couple of days free beforehand, so I had started on that, and I had it built. As you know, then it didn't work, so I have been back today troubleshooting to try and find out what's going wrong. I do now have it working, I am pleased to say, but full disclosure, I thought I would explain sort of what I did to get it working. So board's all here. I went through and using continuity buzzer on the multimeter, went through and I checked all of those. I double checked all of the chips were well pressed in, all sorts of continuity. I went through and checked that I had all the chips in the right place. Still no joy. And then comparing it with the diagram printed in the assembly diagram or assembly thing, I noticed that staring me right in the fucking face. The sound chip, the AY3 thingy chip, I had it the wrong way around because I sort of naively the eye scanning over looked and saw the text the right way up, and yeah, basically it should be upside down like that. So that's all it was. So that's my own stupid fault. So yeah, I did test it, plugged it in. I haven't cut my 128 case yet in order to accommodate it properly, but so I did do that, booted up, thought, wait, great. As you know, then at the very beginning I had my new membrane in the original keyboard, plugged that in. Was that working? Was it bollocks? Couldn't figure out why. Thought, have I got a faulty membrane? Because I did get a faulty membrane a while ago from, I can't remember, there was one of the suppliers. I think there was a batch that seemed to be problematic, and I ordered from a different supplier. That was for my 48K, but so I thought, oh god, don't tell me. And then I didn't realise that it was only Googling and researching. I did not realise that actually these clamps are very significant. I did not realise. I thought they were just there to stop the cable being pulled. They actually press the 3 layers of the plastic together. And I was missing a screw, and this one was loose, and this one was slightly loose as well. So there you go. You learn something new every day. So I'm just going to connect while trying to hold the camera. Of course, tested the continuity of these as well whenever the keyboard didn't work. Alright, so that is on there. Connect in the composite video. Connect in the original plus 2 power supply. And ta-da! That's my original ROM from the original 128. And damn it, keyboard's not working again. What have I done? Well, yeah, didn't have the keyboard in, so I still mustn't have it in because brake's not working. I know where the problem lies there. I'll adjust that when I've got another hand free. So yep, so okay, so a little bit further on I have reset button mounted in here at the side where the RS-232 port used to be, simply because I don't have the right kind of little pin switch for here, and the little plastic pin's broken anyway, so that fits in there quite nicely. This is the joystick port that I've got that's stuck down quite nicely, and it just fits in perfectly at the edge of the board here, so it doesn't really move. I've cut case at the back, so that's the RGB sound connector there, even though I'm not using that at the moment, and a little bit of case modification here for the tape ports. The expansion port and power already fit. So then for the reset, then I have put a little header on here. It's just a loose thing that I had. It happens to have 3 wires. One of the wires is safely taped up, just reusing what I can. And again, with this sort of ribbon cable connector here, again, there's more pins on this than are needed, and I have snipped off the ones that aren't needed. But that wires into the joystick port. Alright, so now is the time to put it all together and see if these extra bits work, and see if we can get a game loaded and running and see where we're at. Okay, so here we are with everything hooked together, reattached. I thought I would be clever and dig out my portable CRT television in order to give a more authentic experience, or allow me to put the computer closer to the screen, but of course I forgot about the flicker, so apologies for that. I thought maybe the camera I was using up until now was even worse, and I thought, oh, I'll use my phone, but I can't use my phone because I'm using that for another purpose, which I'll show you in a moment. So I'm filming this on a Microsoft Surface. How times have changed. So yeah, what I've got then is I've got the machine hooked up. I've got my Cheetah 125, original Cheetah 125 joystick, which is not the best joystick in the world, but it's kind of what I was always used to. I never really liked the micro switch ones. And then a little Bluetooth adapter here connected into a Spectrum tape lead. simply because I'm using a OnePlus 7 Pro, which does not have a headphone socket. And I'm using the Play ZX app, which is fantastic. It allows you to go through and search for tap files for loads of ZX Spectrum games. Probably most of the ones that are available for distribution are on here. So I'm just going to choose something, well, excuse me, I'm going to start the tape loader going. And then I'm going to choose something that has 128 music. We'll try Hydra Fool. And yep, so things start to load. This is obviously the bit that's going to be a bit slow. It says here 4 minutes 41 for this to load, so I'm going to speed up the video and come back to you once the game's loaded. Okay, so here we go. This is 48K music on the menu. Choosing the Kempston joystick interface because that's what the built-in interface for the Harlequin has. It's Kempston, and I don't know the difference between all of these, but we'll try B and see what happens. Success! Oh, I'm not very good at this. Anyway. So if you've watched the whole way through, thank you for watching. That is how I took my original ZX Spectrum 128K casing, took the original ROM out of that machine, which had failed, I believe due to broken tracks on the main circuit board, which I don't have the skill to fix. And I took a Harlequin 128K kit from ByteDelight, built it, put the ROM in, had a little bit of troubleshooting, modified the case slightly, and put it all together. So at least I had something working that kept me occupied for a few days while I was recovering from stent surgery. So hopefully there'll be a few more things that I can do and put up on video here. Yeah, keep an eye out. Thanks for watching.